This week, we're going to talk to Ethan and Lydia Bricker about being big picture thinkers.
Let's send it.
What's up?
Welcome to Full Sun Living. I am Nate Thompson with
Ethan Bricker.
And with my lovely wife, Katie, and
my boo, Lydia
Bricker. Get your mic around.
Oh, sorry.
There it is.
Lydia Bricker.
Lydia.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for ringing the bell. Thanks for being here. Today, we're going to talk to you guys. We wanted to interview you guys. Do
Thanks.
A little something that you guys do wonderfully.
Before you do,
go ahead.
Just so those who listen on audio only, we have a YouTube channel and you should check it out.
Yes.
Just go to YouTube, type in Full Sun Living, and you'll find the Full Sun Living show. Not just a podcast, we're a show now.
See our beautiful faces now.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Anyways, there we go.
Kate, let's do this. We're going to interview these two little birds about something that they are okay at.
Moderately
They're
okay.
great
We're getting by.
They're great at. So
Okay.
let's start. Kate, you take the lead here. Go ahead.
Okay, so what we think you are really good at that we want to talk about is you are good at seeing the big picture thinkers, and you go all in. When you do something, you do it.
Send it.
So
Sometimes it turns out real good.
Sometimes
that's the
terrible.
one I want to know about.
it's so fun to watch.
There's been lots of like, shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake.
We'll get to that.
When you,
We'll get
Okay.
there. All right, go
So
ahead.
some of the areas we think you are really good at this is like with your family. Like you have 4 kids, and you guys really sent it with that because they're young. You guys are young.
Yeah.
Your kids are
Gonna have
awesome.
babies.
Yes. So
Your next topic.
yes. But then I also think about like spiritually, like on more of a serious note. Like I feel like you are both very, like I think the right words would be like prophetic or apostolic, where you see the bigger picture. You're like sometimes when I pray about my family, and I have to like remind myself to pray for like the community or for what's happening outside of my life. But you seem to just be good at thinking about the big picture. Or I don't know, what else would you add to that? Like big picture thinking.
Well, let's just sit on it for a second. Let's talk about like this, what you guys have going on right now, because it's fresh. The orchard, the tractor just came in.
Yeah.
The apple picker got fixed. It's
fixed.
hitting
Things are
the
happening.
farm. It is hitting the farm, people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What did you see about this to go from not only, a few years ago now, moving here, got your house in your little suburb, sell the house, buy an apple orchard? Why? Like, what's going on there?
It's really romantic.
Super.
No,
romantic.
like just owning an orchard and having it right beside Ethan's parents. Like we'd always just look at it and be like, it'd be so romantic to own an orchard. Like it's like novelist-like, you know? And I think we fall in love with the idea of something. And once we're fixated on anything, it takes a lot to have us give up and like move on. It's just both of our personalities, I think. So
we romanticize
things, like
for sure.
The idea of something. We're very like forward thinking people, which is helpful in the commitment part. You definitely run into pitfalls later.
Yeah.
And
like Lydia's like standing out in the orchard in like a Victorian gown, like just flies in the air.
this wasn't what I thought it would be. It's not what I thought it would be.
Apple butter tastes awful.
Just mosquito welts everywhere.
Our kid. Oh my God.
Even on the tractor.
Just like, hey, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I think we romanticize about things. I think like we we see something and then we both talk about it, and then I'm always the person to like criticize it and shoot it down.
I turn it into a beautiful story.
She turns it into
There's
a
nothing that could
just
possibly happen that
a
would be
utopia.
horrible.
Every apple is ready to be picked, and none of them arrive.
I start
Perfect.
trimming
No bugs.
her dream away. I do. I just start like, that's not real.
I think of myself as a little bit of a dream killer as well.
Yeah.
Can relate.
Lydia gets mad at me very often because I am the dream killer. Like, she's like, horses and miniature ponies.
It's still going to happen.
gallivanting around.
It's still happening.
Our children,
that, yeah.
just with loincloths
All
riding.
riding miniature donkeys. They're so cute.
Yeah, oh my gosh, how are their ears so big? But like, I think we complement each other in that sense, because I start to kind of refine the dream, but while keeping, I feel like the essence and the goodness of the dream, just without all of the like utopian, like
you take the trolls portion out of it. Like don't, you can turn the song off now.
Yeah.
That is, you gotta get,
Just adding some realism of like, you can't have all of this in 5 years. This is like a 20-year dream, or you know, things like that. And so, but
that's even like a fun way to say it though. About like, it just makes me think of just like imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be able to just imagine a future of what or where you guys wanted to be, and to kind of see it in and it's not in a naive way. It's in a good way, because like why come into an imagination of your own thinking and make it the worst, you know? So why not shoot for the 10 miniature donkeys pulling your cart through the apples? You know, you're just picking them in your Victorian dress, but there's something fun about that. And then to be able to work together, like that is true. That is like, I say Kate's the string to my balloon, you know? Like there has to, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Like I don't make sense without Kate. I'm like just a one-off, because I'll float into space.
I would have bought horses instead of the tractor. So it's really good.
and then I would have been out there.
We would have had no way to take care of the land.
Yeah, it would have been terrible.
How much horsepower is that tractor?
60 of
There
them.
you go. Got 60 horses.
Yeah.
on the
We got 60
barn right
horses,
now.
yeah. But yeah, I think like, you know, orchard aside, I think we like learning new things. And I think we both like being creative. And so the idea of farming and taking a piece of land and turning it into something it wasn't, into something new, is creative. I feel like I've seen in the last 5 years, I feel like I've noticed, like with both of us, like we can't help but create. Like right now we're in a season where we haven't been producing as much music. And so now we've been like, it's like now we're doing like land work, and now we're doing like vlogging, and we're doing this, and it's like we just can't help but create something. And I think like our pitfall with being so big picture is we get so like dazzled by all the things we could do that we like need some. We get to a point where like we got to reel this in. This is getting crazy. Like we're getting spread thin, you know. So
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, what does that actually look like in real life? Like, if you look back over the whatever time, like the times where you've reeled in, like where you're kind of chasing the dream, you're seeing it happening, and then like being spread too thin. Like, what does that look like to you guys?
I think we've just learned from overloading ourselves. And so we've kind of learned the signs before the breakdown. That sounds like intense and kind of like depressing, but it is like when
you
you,
the sirens coming.
when you start having like, you know, panic attacks and things like that, and you're wondering, how did I get here? You've kind of got to rewind and look through your life of like, okay, what's all on my plate that doesn't need to be there? What's adding to this? What's bringing me life? What's not? And just removing the things out that, you know, God probably would have been okay with you letting go quite some time ago, but you wanted to hold on to it just to keep going. Because we're both very like go-getters, and like we can do everything, we can do anything. And ultimately that's like a pride root issue that you have to let go. But to be able to kind of learn from your mistakes and see like, oh, like the last time I started feeling this way, a few months later, I was having a panic attack. So I need to like take some things off my plate, because we've both struggled with
we should talk about
extreme
that.
anxiety, like just from being too overloaded. I mean, 4 kids all in 5.5 years, one of them being an adoption that was a very emotional time of
Yeah.
could he
During
get taken away? Could he not?
And then
all during COVID and
COVID, Black Lives Matter, you know, dumpster fires in Detroit, like,
yeah,
you know, like in
going on.
all the stuff that were just, it was crazy.
while
But-
pursuing like both of us working and just all the things of just, you know, realigning and being like, what do I really need to be doing right now? And what am I just doing because I'm too proud to let it go?
Yeah, I think
So-
That's a good-
I think
yeah.
a lot of people a lot of people are like, I want to be a go-getter, or I want to be the big
Totally.
picture person. Like they want that. But then once you experience the weight of that, it's a different animal. Like it's like, I want a pet gorilla so bad. But then once you get that pet gorilla and he starts to wrestle you, you realize like, this is not what I thought it was. It's cool. It's cool to have a pet gorilla.
Till he gets out of the cage.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's like a level of, I don't know the word, honor, reverence. That's why we named Revere. It's like reverence to what the Lord has called you to, and understanding that, like, yes, you are allowed to do other things on top of what God's called you to, but like if you start adding too much,
That you can't protect the
main
main
thing,
thing, then you gotta.
then like you're gonna have a panic attack. And so I've had multiple panic attacks where I like am just like full on, just like little boy curled up, can't breathe, like not even able to cope with the day.
Yeah.
Nothing's even bad happening. It's just I can't.
Like
It's
your
all
brain's
hit.
like
It's
short
all
circuiting,
hit.
you know?
And we've had moments where we're in the studio and I'm like, do you like this synth or do you like this synth? And then boop, she's done. Like she's in full on panic. And that's when we're like, whoa, like this was a few years ago. I don't think we've had we haven't had really anything, you know, we know when we're getting close. When like I was studying for this like pesticide test, and there were a couple days that I was like, I'm getting close. Like I'm trying to do all this stuff and work and learn an apple orchard and get pesticide certified. And I told Lydia one day, I was like, I'm getting really close. Like I know that
I know this feeling.
that threshold's getting thin. You know what I mean? And I think the secret is it's two things. It's having a partner that knows you and knows when it's like time to be like, okay, Saturday, you go do whatever you want. Be alone, do something that fills you up, get away from the kids. And so we've had that, and we've given that to each other. But number one is time with the Lord. It just is like, if we don't get that yielded time to Jesus where we can eat his bread and get that bread of life in the morning in his true drink that fulfills, everything else just falls apart. Like I'm more dependent now in life on Jesus than I've ever been. And I'm more hungry and thirsty for him than I've ever been. And that's what sustains me. And it's opposite of the world, because the world says, well, if you're hungry and you're thirsty for something, then you're actually weak. And it's actually in the kingdom, it's the opposite. It's the more hungry and the more thirsty you are, the stronger you'll be. It doesn't actually reflect naturally. Naturally, you're weaker if you're hungry and thirsty. But in the spirit, you're actually stronger and more resilient, and you have more perseverance. But it's been, I don't know, it's been an adventure. It's kind of one of those things where it's like we've just learned to know each other, like where it's like where she said things where she's like, I think I might want to do this. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
don't.
So many times, because I'm the overcommitter. So I'll just commit. And like my like quote that's always running in my head now is from one of our lead pastors, Kim Wall. And she says, like, Lydia.
Yeah. I don't know why I want to sing everybody's names. Kimberly Wall is married to William Wall. He goes by Bill.
All right.
Okay.
But her,
End it.
yes.
Okay.
What she says though, she'll say like, Lydia, you can have everything. You just can't have it all at the same time. And like, that's been like my motto lately, where I'm wanting to take up a new hobby or like get back to doing more of the stuff that I've always loved to do, and like reining it in and being like, I can have it all, but I can't have it all right now. Like I've got 4 small children right now at home, and I can't go to 3 stores grocery shopping with them in a row.
Remember my
That's
idea?
something stupid. I do curbside pickup now. Is that what you were? Is that the idea?
Life changing.
Remember I said
Yeah.
you could do curbside pickup, but then you can go in for the very essential things that you know they're not going to get right.
Yeah, I haven't even done that. I just have been doing
just
curbside.
okay, there you go. You're done.
And I'll do like
You're
2
fine.
stores curbside because not every store has what I want.
Not all
And I'm just
stores are
like, you
created
know,
equal.
yeah, they're not all there. They don't all have the big picture.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't know you.
Not
they,
like
don't,
you.
they don't know you, boo.
It's just, that's like a really silly, dumb thing, but it is the same idea, whether it be big things that you want to dedicate yourself to in life or not. Like you can't go into a store with 4 small children repeatedly over and over and actually make it out alive.
Yeah.
You just can't.
You're not going to win that fight.
You're not. And so for me to think like back when I was doing like marathon running, when I had 2 kids, I like can't do that right now. I can't dedicate, one, I wouldn't even make it like 2 miles, but I can't do that right now with 4 little kids and take care of an orchard with my husband, be a worship pastor, do all the things. It's just not the season. And so I think letting your life be the Lord's and just like dying daily and being like, it's not my will, it's what you want me to do right now. And what I wanted the most was have these like 4 precious children. So make them the main thing and don't be upset or feel like the victim that you don't get to have this hobby or that hobby or go out with your girls or all those extra things because you got your main thing, you know?
Yeah, that kind of comes back to like the whole like how do you go all in on something? It's assessing where all your other things are at, and so we've had many times where it's like, yeah, like okay, what's priority here? You know,
Right.
like and how healthy are these things? Like, is our family dynamic healthy right now? Could it be healthier? And obviously, yes, it could always be healthier. But like, is it at a level of health that we feel good about? You know, and then going down the list and kind of goes to that Bob Goff thing of like, what should we cut out today? You know, what should we quit?
Bob Goff.
And understanding that like sometimes you're called to something for a certain amount of time, but then there's also times where like God's like, you've been going around this mountain the right amount of times. Now it's time to go over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we cannot be afraid to move. You know, too often, like we create a rut. You know, and it may not be a bad one. It's like something that God has for us. But there's times where God does say, "Okay, go here now," and we just have to be willing to go.
Yeah. Yep.
I have one more question that goes along with this, and that is, I feel like a lot of people could really relate to you if they're also like dreamers or like they do see a bigger picture for the future, just have goals, like things they've always wanted to do. But for people who don't really like dream big or think about the big picture of things, would you have any advice for people who want to kind of like just start seeing past themselves or past like the immediate future, or like, is that something you just naturally have, or can you learn how to do that?
I think for me, like if I look at the things that I love and the things that I like and then think, how would this affect other people? How could this serve other people? It's pretty easy to like get beyond yourself with it. Even if it's something like, I really like to paint, how could that affect other people? Could I find other people that like to paint? Could I make a painting group? And now I've created this great community of friends on a Saturday morning where we all come together and paint. Like something like which is small. It's not like this big,
but it's like a step
thing, but it's a step like getting past. And so I think if you just look at the things that you love, the things that you know, like to spend time doing, and then think of how could other people be a part of this. So for us, like, I love to write music and record, so I'm putting it out and people are a part of it by listening to it and experiencing it. So they're not in the studio up here with us, but you know, that type of thing.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
great.
What do you think?
I think like as you do the little things, or as you start to get creative or start to put your stuff out there or start to dream and, you know, invest, and maybe you fail, or You know what I mean? Buy a house and you thought it'd be this way, it's not, or you took this big risk and it didn't end up being what you hoped it would be. I think like not discounting small beginnings. I think that's like a huge thing, is like we started different things and they were really small. Like we put Lydia's music out and it was like, we have 50 people listening monthly on Spotify, and there's 600 people that go to our church, and you're just thinking like 50 of you are listening. Like, you know what I mean? You're
Come on,
just,
people.
you're like, come on, man. Like, I mean, you could say the same thing about this podcast, where it's like, we start it. We have like 150 subscribers on our audio, but we only have 23 on YouTube, and you can just get defeated really quick. And that kills the dream, and it starts killing the desires of wanting to do more, because the next time you have a dream or the next idea you have, you'll be reminded of your past ideas and your past failures and what you've deemed a failure and stuff like that. And I feel like we've gotten better. I'm still so not there. We've just gotten better at like realizing, okay, this is going to be small at first, but it will grow. I mean, Outpouring was a really big one for us. It was like doing this big conference, and we're just thinking like, man, this feels so scary, because we're just putting ourselves out there, hoping people show up. And the first year we had like 350 or 325 show up. And I remember just feeling like, this is like, our church is 400. Come on. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like this just feels, you know, because I'm just thinking we at least should have our whole church there.
Yeah.
But not even people at our own church prioritize it. We had people going camping, and we had some people said, oh, you know what? I'm going to the lake that day. And I was just like, are you like, really? Like, you know, but like, you're just going to have those people who just do not value what you value. And that feels like they're discounting what you are doing, but it's just not the truth. And that little beginning, you know, grew the next year, and, you know, or even, I think actually the next year we stayed about the same. And it's reminding yourself that you're still doing what either God told you to do or your heart, you know, told you to do, which fun little thing. Sometimes your heart is exactly what God's telling you to do as well. Sometimes we think like, well, if it's coming from my heart, it's probably not God. But the Bible says that the Lord gives you the desires of your heart. This is a little thing from Lydia's dad.
Oh, yeah.
The word desire in Latin means of the Father. De means of, sire means father. So in Latin, it means of the Father. So like when you have desires in your heart, it's actually coming from the Father.
Oh, that's cool.
Never thought of that before.
Yeah, that's Lydia's dad. Boom.
So cool.
But he's a subscriber. Thanks,
bro.
Shannon.
Dad.
But I think sometimes we just discount ourselves, thinking that our idea isn't a big God idea, but really you were born with big God ideas already.
That's good.
And sometimes it just takes having somebody around you that like is your biggest fan, and then it's just like, that was amazing, even if no one else showed up. And and that'll
That's
just
cool.
make you go further, because you're like, they thought that was great. And even though that's not the main thing, like what a person thinks is not the main part. You still need.
Yeah, we need pillars.
We still need
like,
people around us that are gonna like say, I love that.
Yeah, you can't do it on your own.
I think it's cool that you do that. You know?
Yeah, you guys are like pillars in our life, and that my parents are big pillars in our life, where I'm like, I've gone to my dad before, I'm like, I failed, like this sucked. This was a giant failure, giant flop. And he's like, what are you talking about? Stop being stupid. Like look at the runway. Like just because you drove your plane 15 feet and didn't take off doesn't mean that you're not going to take off down there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's runway.
Something really cool that his dad told us, I think it was last year, maybe it was last year. We were making music, and I'd put out like 3 or 4 songs like back-to-back months. And the first 3 songs made Spotify editorial playlists, which means like you're getting a lot of streams. So it's good. And then the last one didn't make it. And we were just like, we thought it was the best one. We spent a lot of time on it. We probably spent the most money on the production, and we were just like, this is horrible. And we really thought we were going to do better this year. And now it's the end of the year, and we're just wishing that we would have done things differently. And Rod, like his dad was just saying to us, like, yeah, but look at all the fruit outside of your music. You had a lot of fruit this year. You adopted a baby. You have four beautiful kids that are healthy. You know, you have your home, all the projects you did there. He just went on and on about all the things that we accomplished through the year that we weren't thinking about, because we were just like
sometimes
standing really close to the picture and just looking at the tiny leaf of music and being like, oh, why didn't we get it right?
Cross-pollination.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you sow only into this like one thing, hoping that, man, this is going to be launch, and then it doesn't launch, but then you look around and you're like, oh, all my other things did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the other things that were desires of my heart actually flourished.
And we just stepped back and realized like, we had a really good year, actually.
Yeah.
We had a super good year, and it was
So
just
good.
that fixation on that one little thing. So it's just good to have people around you.
All right. So then one thing you mentioned, which will lead us into this next question,
Oh, man.
is you said,
We're going to have to land the plane real quick after this one.
what's it like when you're going all in on something? Are you both like, yeah, let's do it? Or like, how does it like, what's it like? You're married and someone's like, I'm about to spend this. I want to spend this money on this. Are you both like, okay? Or how does that get?
How does that work, babe?
What's that look like?
Yeah.
I feel like I am the most supportive, awesome wife ever, because he literally, I'm just like going to brag right now, because he will be like, I'm going to get this. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and get it. Like,
She's amazing.
we're just pretty, when it comes to things that aren't just like hobbies, like kind of whatever things.
What is it is it like with the spiritual, with God, the undertone of God, this purpose is for this, or you know what I mean? Like, what is it that's just you're like, yeah, green light, go? Or is it like,
What's that separation between, oh, this is just a hobby and this is like meaningful?
I think the things that I know he's loved since I've known him, like anything with film, anything with video, like he's been making YouTube videos since he was 16, you know? And
So it's pretty fun to get back into it.
anything involving like tech, usually, I'm completely green light, because I know he loves it so much that he'll steward it well. I know him well enough. I know him well enough that if his passions are in it, then he won't treat it poorly. It's like a kid that takes care of something really well because they like love it so much. So when it comes to it's true. Like he's just this 5-year-old with all of his tech gear. But and then when it comes to as far as, you know, the house or like farming equipment, all of that. I mean, the whole orchard was like, we bought it as a gift for our children, that they would grow up on this big chunk of land to keep them younger longer and to teach them good character. And so anything that we can purchase, horses, donkeys,
Small
sheep,
donkeys.
that can build.
he got you a bunch of raccoons and possums?
Yes.
Everywhere.
Anything that we can put our money into that is going to encourage character building and keeping them young longer. I don't care the amount. And we have like guidelines. Like we don't believe in taking out loans for things if you don't have to. We're not credit card major users. Like we have enough of that like common.
We've never made a credit card payment, like in the sense of like
paying interest.
Yeah.
Never done
So
that.
like there's like basic things that we just established early on.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about that. Like I know he will ask, can I buy this if it would put us in a predicament that we would be in debt?
And there's been many times where she's like, that's not a good idea. Let's wait. And then later on we get it. Let me say this. Anytime if you've been listening or watching, I will say this is the time to listen. Right
Dial
here.
in, people.
Right here.
Dial in.
We've just made this like resolve in our marriage, and I love this about us. I'm just going to be
Brag about it.
confident.
That's why
I love
we're
it.
here. Say it.
If it means ministering to people or taking care of people or giving to people, it's always a green light.
Oh yeah.
I
It
love
doesn't
that.
matter. It just
Yeah, it's
always
like that.
is. Lydia's
Say,
like,
can you list
And
those
that's
3
been-
things again
if
one more
it
time?
means ministering to people, giving to people, or being generous to people,
Okay.
it's always a green light.
And we had, right after we said that we were kind of going to go down that route, we had 3 people that we knew that lost babies within like a week. And so it was like, well, we're sending them gifts. We're doing this. We're going to, And then it was like just all these other things started coming up. And we started doing these little things like hospitality care packages and stuff like that just in the past couple months, which it's like small when you're doing
She
like
says
one.
we, but she did it. And I just said,
You were the
he
green
footed
light
the
guy.
bill, man.
yeah. But that to me
baby.
is like,
That's-
I'm like going to work and Lydia and this is where this is going to be a long episode, but it's all good.
worth it. Go
But this
ahead.
is where
You're
marriage
worth-
gets
you're
weird.
worth
It's weird. Like when a husband or a wife goes to work and then they're like, well, I worked hard for that money. Now you're just giving it away. It's like, no, your team. So it's like, to me, I'm like, when I'm sitting at that desk working my job, I'm doing it for the ministry of the Lord, which ultimately will help the mourning, the sick, the poor, whatever. And if Lydia just has the time all day to figure out who that is, then good. Then I'll just fund the kingdom through whatever Lydia.
That's
you know
so
what I mean?
good.
And so it's like, we just have this awesome teamwork, and it's one of those things where it's like money just goes, but then money just comes in, and sometimes money comes in and we don't even realize how it came in. I just had somebody gave us a check like a year ago for $600 and I didn't deposit it. And
Their bank account is
And they're
jacked
like-
and they were
for
like,
a year.
they're like,
They're
why didn't-
still like, I just can't seem to
were-
get it to balance.
no, they were like, they came up
And
to me,
now
they're like,
it's
hey,
ruined.
why didn't you deposit that? And I was like, we got that? They were like, yeah. And I was like, I don't remember ever getting that. And they were like, well, we gave that to you. And I was like, oh, sweet. They were like, we want to give it to you again. And I'm like, okay. But it's like funny because we had just given to a bunch of other people, and all of a sudden it came back 3 times as much as what we gave. Awesome. But that's just the way the Lord works, is like these little things you didn't know about before, and he comes through. And so our marriage has been very like centered on, if it's anything to do with for Jesus, then we're in. It's just going to be a green light, and we'll never lose if we do it that way. When it comes to like the personal goals and stuff like that, I think we just kind of have to evaluate, like,
Does it fit within what we're wanting for like the year? Like when I was doing races, we had to just kind of evaluate, like, do we want to spend that money just so you can run this race and get a t-shirt? Do we
like
want
$300 for you
Right.
to run?
Yeah, like those kind of things. And so
Sometimes, yeah.
it's almost like that hiking trip that you took last year.
Yeah, exactly.
kinda
Why'd
like
you
that.
pay so much money to go get blistered feet? Stupid
And not even
investment.
finish.
We're doing it again.
Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
think it
have
was
We
another
are doing
good
it.
fellowship or
It
something.
was for this Lord, Lydia.
Yeah, that wasn't
Yeah.
for the Lord and all.
But we
and
just don't-
my feet knew it.
We try to not be too sensitive with each other with like little like the hobby stuff, because we usually, because we go so all in with big things, there's usually not a lot left to do that kind of stuff. So we both pretty level out. Like we level out pretty quickly. We're like, yeah, we'd rather have this drywalled, so it's fine. Or you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's so
So-
good. Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense. I hope
Does.
we answered that question well.
So how do we send it? How are we sending it with these 2 birds today? I'm going to say, you guys send it with being willing to have an imagination to think bigger than you're currently thinking. Even if Lydia shows up riding a miniature donkey in your daydream, it's fine. It could be a reality over here. We don't know what's happening, but for real, be willing to think bigger and just kind of have the imagination to just make it as glorious as you can. And then see about starting to chase after it a little bit.
That's good.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for subscribing, clicking that bell, and sharing this video with your friends.
Absolutely. And thanks you both for being here with us today.
Thank you,
both
guys.
episodes with you guys. So that's great. So yeah, subscribe, share it, love it, share it some more, and share it again. Amen.
There it is. That's a great
There it
outro.
is.
Thank you guys. Love ya. Get it.
Oh, you like having
We'll
those
play some
papers.
music. We're gonna play some music. I'm playing music.
It's going to be fun.